Deviance, Deviant, Deviate. Let's get into it. Hey, it's Linda Renee, aka Doc You Rock, and today we're diving into some loaded words. And y'all probably heard them before: deviant, deviance, and deviate. Yeah. So these words, they got a little history to them. They've been used to label, shame, and marginalize people for simply existing outside of the so-called norm. Now we're gonna be using that language, that word a lot, okay? But I'm here to break it down. And we're going to look at where these terms have come from, how they've been used, especially against kink and BDSM communities, and how my work with Therapeutic BDSM is going to flip the script on all of this here, okay? So I want you to go ahead, grab your little something to sip on. I got my tea, get comfortable, and let's get into it. So first off, I'm going to let my nerd flag, okay? Because I love words and I love definitions and I love making sure everybody's on the same page because words just not wording like they used to. All right, so let's start with some etymology. The word deviate, no, I'm sorry, the word deviant comes from the Latin word deviate. And I'm probably mispronouncing the hell out of that. But it means to turn aside or to depart from. That's simple enough, right? I mean, no big deal. But somewhere along the way, the whole idea of straying from the path went from neutral to what the fuck, okay? I'm a cuss y'all, so I mean, hopefully that don't bother y'all. If it does, then this ain't where you want to be. So, about the late 19th and early 20th centuries, sociologists started to use terms like deviance to study behavior that didn't fit into societal norms. There's that word again. While it sounds all academic, it quickly became a tool to control and judge anyone who didn't fit into that box of normal, right? Now, what's wild is that being labeled a deviant didn't mean you're doing anything wrong or harmful. That's not originally what it meant. Nah. It just meant you weren't doing what was societally expected. But somehow it became a weapon to marginalize people because, of course, right? Especially when it was around sexuality, gender, and relationships. Any of this sounding familiar? So y'all see where I'm going, right? All right, stay with me. Now, let's talk about how deviance got mixed up with kink and BDSM. So, back in the day, around like the mid 20th century or so, psychologists and sexologists started studying human sexuality. I mean, sounds like a good thing, right? Hell no, because biases and ignorance got conflated with research. We know how it goes, right? Researchers were typically white men, and the people that they researched were typically white men, leaving out all of the people who did not fall into that box, making the research that they tabulated not applicable to mostly anybody else. It's an issue, and it's something that we're still dealing with today, right? Exactly. Now that I got all that out the way, it wasn't all bad. But what was bad was that everything considered out of the norm, especially sex wise, was categorized as a paraphilia without any nuance. And for those who have been around for a while, y'all know I need my nuance. Like we got to talk about it. Everything isn't just black or white, up or down, left or right. There's so much play in the middle that gets discarded. Now, the word paraphilia. This is my opportunity to tell y'all to stick around because I didn't create a whole little short talking about what is a paraphilia and how it differentiates from a fetish and a kink. So I ain't gonna tell you what it is now. I'm gonna need you to come on back. All right, that's how we do that. Yeah. So kink, BDSM, and queer identities. All of that got shoved into the same box as pedos and necrophilia. People who like to have sex with dead bodies. Anyway, yeah, it's as bad as it sounds. And because of that, being associated with anything that society deemed odd or weird was avoided. And into the shadows folks went. deviant still carries all this negative weight when it comes to sexuality. It's been used to silence, to judge, and to other anyone who doesn't conform. Sounds familiar, right? But here's the thing. What if being deviant isn't a bad thing? What if it's actually free? I'm just asking. This is where my work with Therapeutic BDSM comes in. See, we're here to reframe this whole concept of deviance. Instead of seeing it as something to be ashamed of, we're claiming it as an act of self-discovery, empowerment, and even healing. See, in Therapeutic BDSM, deviating isn't about being wrong. To the contrary, it's about stepping away from limiting societal norms and stepping into your what? Your truth. It's about exploring your desires with intention and consent and finding freedom in that exploration. And here's how we do it. In the Therapeutic BDSM session, we create an intentional space where the client, the practitioner, and the clinician work together in a triangulation model. Clients get to explore, process trauma, and rewrite those harmful narratives that have been holding them back. It's healing on their terms, and that's on period. Now let's zoom out a little bit, okay? Because deviance isn't just about sex; it's about identity. It's about Black bodies, queer bodies, fat bodies, disabled bodies. Because all of these have been labeled deviant for just existing outside of this narrow definition of what society deems acceptable. And what has been considered acceptable? I ain't gonna even say it because you already know. Anywho, this is why intersectionality is so important in the work that I do. Therapeutic BDSM isn't just about kink or BDSM, it's about holding space for all of the layers of someone. Because if we're being honest, if you've been marginalized in one area of your life, that stigma doesn't just stay in that one place. It shows up with how you navigate everything, including kink and BDSM. See, by acknowledging those intersections, we create spaces where people feel seen, validated, and empowered. And not just in their association with kink or BDSM, but in their whole identity. And that is what is so missing is people feeling validated and seen and heard and accepted for who they are 360 degrees. At the end of the day, therapeutic BDSM is about breaking free from shame. And for those who know me outside of this space, you may know that I have a nonprofit, and it's called Heal on Purpose. And our slogan is shatter the shame by breaking the silence. And that's what we're doing here by shedding a light onto the fact that therapeutic BDSM can indeed be healing, right? By highlighting the fact that people have come to this space, come to these scenes, come to this community for belonging and for acceptance is what we want to really highlight and to take BDSM and kink out of the shadows of marginalization and bring it to the forefront. For so many of us, the things we desire have been labeled as bad or wrong. And a lot of folks carry that shame in the body, in the nervous system. And this is all about rescripting that relationship. Because what if we could just let that go? What if we could step into a space where our desires aren't just accepted, but they're celebrated? Hmm. Through intentional BDSM scenes, we help clients to do exactly that. We rewrite the nervous system's response to shame and we replace it with freedom via consent. Took my glasses off for this part, y'all. So what's next, right? As we keep challenging the stigma around kink and BDSM, we've got to remember that not all kink is about healing trauma, right? We don't want to create the narrative that that's what this is about. Sometimes it's just about joy. It's about connection and fun and pleasure. And that is such a freaking revolutionary act, especially considering all of the things going on, and especially considering the people who are often marginalized for daring to enter into these different dynamics for fun and for pleasure. This is another way that we take this word deviant and we embrace it, right? Because if deviant means that I am willing to align with what's true for me versus me attempting to be something that I'm not in order to fit into the narrow frames of society, then damn it, I'm gonna be deviant. What about you? I'm just asking y'all. I'll just be asking the questions. But when healing is part of the journey, Therapeutic BDSM is here to create a path forward. One that takes what society labels as deviant and reclaims it as a source of power and self-discovery. So what y'all think, y'all? We gonna cut it right here. This is gonna be it for today. Does does reframing deviance, is it doing it for you? Is it hitting home? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going because this is how we do it. This is how we do the work by having these conversations and doing it together. We don't have to do this in a silo. No more silos, okay? And if this resonated with you, you already know what to do. Go ahead, like it, share, subscribe, all of the things, and let's keep talking, right? Let's keep building beautiful, curious, and empowered community together. All right? Until next time, I want you to know your desires are valid, your voice matters, you're exactly where you need to be. Well, that sounded good, right? A little corny. Anyway, stay bold, y'all. Stay curious. And until next time, this is Doc You Rock. And I'm out. Peace. Bye for now.